everyone, welcome to the Furniture Fix. I'm Raina. This week's fix is going to be 2 nightstands that were commissioned from a customer of mine. She'd bought the 9-drawer dresser that's on the next couple of frames, and she loved the color and the hardware so much. She just wanted me to freshen up the paint and fix all the little scratches and nicks and things that it had on it, and also match the hardware. So come with me as we make that happen for her and we fix these nightstands. I wanted to show you the dresser that the nightstands will match up to. Now, I didn't take video of this project. This was before I started doing videos. The nightstands that you'll be watching is the first time that I recorded my projects. So this project came out really beautiful. I learned a lot of things. I made this door from scratch and it was a really fun project. So I'm really glad she loved it and wanted me to take on these nightstands to try to make them as beautiful as the dresser. So here it doesn't really look like they're in that bad a shape, but when you get really close, you can see there's marks all over it. There's dents and scratches. It really does need a refresh. That hardware doesn't match what the dresser has on it, so she really wanted that satin gold hardware on this set as well. So as we take a look inside the drawers, they look really good, really clean, so I'm not going to have to do much in there. This is a Thomasville, which is really nice quality. This is a set that's going to last the owner many, many years. It's a great quality piece to be working on, nice and solid. All right, let's get started. First, I always start by vacuuming the piece, making sure I've got all the debris off there. And don't forget to clean under your pieces. You got to get in there with the vacuum because this is a great place for spiders, spider eggs, or any little bugs to hide out in. Sometimes these drawers get sticky, or you got to figure out if there's a latch in the back that prevents them from coming out all the way. So sometimes it's easy to take out the drawers, sometimes it's not, but you'll get it figured out eventually. So next step is to clean with your favorite degreaser. I'm currently using the crud cutter on this one. It helps to cut the oils and any dirt and whatever is on your piece. You just kind of spray it on, let it sit for just a minute, then come back through with a whatever kind of cleaning rag or sponge you want to use, scrub brush, it's up to you. This one doesn't need a whole lot of scrubbing, so this rag will do just fine. Using a nylon bristle brush like this one is really great to get into these little gaps where the dust tends to get stuck. Lots of little dirt particles up in there, so this will just get right in and kind of scrub away that dirt. I've got both nightstands wiped down nice and clean, and it's time for everyone's favorite step, sanding. Here I just have a finger sander which comes in really nice when you're dealing with all this detail work. So I'm not trying to go down to bare wood, I'm just giving it a nice scuff sanding all throughout, but there are some pieces that are a little rough, especially these types of areas where it's kind of a larger paint scratch, and so the edges are raised. I just want to get those smoothed out. Something that I like to do is use some flexible paintable caulking on any big gaps in the pieces. This is just going to create a really nice seamless look throughout the piece. And like I said, I just use it wherever there's a big gap where the paint can't really fill up the space. So then it creates these little gaps in there within the paint and it looks really bad. So this is a step that I don't skip. And here I'm just showing you the gap before I filled it, and then you can see the big difference in how smooth the side of that looks where that gap was. Here you're going to see me come in with some glazing putty. So this is a product by Bondo. This is really nice for scratches or little nicks that aren't super deep. When you have super deep dents and scratches or big areas you need to fill, you're going to want to use more of a wood filler or a Bondo situation. But with these smaller ones, just the glazing putty will do a really good job of getting all that smoothed out once it dries and you go back and sand it smooth. I'm just using an old gift card. I just like how it fits in my hand when I'm doing things like this, but you can use a putty knife or whatever you'd like. And now I'm just going to go back through the pieces and make sure that they're all smoothed out, going over any raised edges that I can feel. I just want to make sure it's as smooth as possible for when I go and paint it. To fill the holes on the drawers, I decided to put dowels in there. And what you would do is you'd find a dowel closest to the hole, put a little bit of wood glue in there, and then you'll want to take off the excess with either a saw or you can sand it off, and then you'll want to sand that smooth. I am going to put some wood filler in there just to make sure I close all the gaps it may have around the circle there. I'm not sure why I didn't film myself putting in the dowels, and I apologize for that, but it is a pretty easy and straightforward process. You could totally use wood filler for this, but I just wanted to try something that I don't always do. And it turned out really nice and smooth, so I'm pretty happy with the results. There you can see where I filled in the area around the hardware holes with some Bondo, and then I'm just going through and smoothing everything out just to make sure that these drawers are ready for paint. I'm going to go ahead and cover the drawer slides because I don't want any paint getting on them. When I first started this project, these were caked in paint. I did go ahead and use my nylon scrub brush to get all that off. The cleaner you can get them, the smoother the drawer will open and close for you. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap all the drawers. I don't want any paint getting in there, especially since I'm going to be lining them. I want the insides to look super clean, super nice. And I know that some flippers do paint their pieces with the drawers inside. I haven't tried that yet, but that is definitely a technique that I will be trying in the future. Now I'm ready to prime, and I chose to brush it on and roll it on this time. There's a couple of ways you can do this. You can do what I'm doing here, or you can put the primer in your spray gun and spray it. I do both. It kind of just depends what I'm feeling like. If I feel like the piece is a pretty small piece where brushing is not going to take too long, I'll go ahead and do that. But it's definitely up to you and your goals for how long you want this piece to take you. So once your piece has been primed, you'll want to go through with about a 220 grit, lightly sand any dust nibs that might have fallen on there, and just get it as smooth as possible so that you're ready for paint. So now you just want to look over your piece and make sure that you've covered everything, that everything looks smooth, no scratches left that you need to fix before you put your paint on. And in my case, I'm needing to go back and make some corrections with my glazing putty just to get everything smoothed out. Still finding little nicks here on the second coat. Hopefully the third coat will be the last. Just a reminder, after every coat of primer or paint, you just want to go back in and give it a light sanding with some 220 just to make sure you get any debris that might have landed on there off. Now that I'm happy with the corrections I made to those scratches, I'm just going to go back in with the actual paint and touch those up. That way it just provides an extra layer of paint on top of those fixes. I probably could have just sprayed the paint on and the coverage would have been great. I don't know why I got obsessed and felt like I needed to really just get on every little scratch and make sure it was perfect. Okay guys, I promise I'm just about done being totally neurotic about this. Now I'm ready to paint. So I'm definitely going to want to wipe my pieces down, make sure there's no dust or debris on there. So now it's time to prep my gun. I'm going to be using the Silk All-in-One Mineral Paint in the color Endless Shore, which is my favorite white. It is just the best, creamiest, luxurious looking white that I've used, and I absolutely love it. So I definitely want to strain my paint. Anytime I'm putting paint in the can, I use a strainer just so that I don't have any chunks or debris, because it will clog up your sprayer and it'll mess up your job and you'll have to start over. I also like to thin out the paint just a little bit with some water. This is going to be a total eyeball it situation. You can use a viscosity cup too, but I've used this paint before, so I kind of know how much to put in. And yes, that's duct tape I'm putting on my gun. I will definitely explain that in a different video, but basically I broke the mechanism that holds the can and the gun together. So after you've sprayed to make sure you love the way that it's coming out of the nozzle, you are ready to just start spraying your piece. Pick a place to start, and then with even back and forth motion, you just want to do a 50% overlap, which means you're going to overlap each spray half of the previous one, and you're just going to go through on that. You'll have to excuse my video techniques. I'm pretty new at this, so angles will definitely be better as I do this more and more. I will say I love the spray tent, but they gotta improve on this design a little bit. I wish it was more of a square versus an actual camping tent style, because people are taller than me. I'm literally 5'1", and I have to kind of hunch down in there. So I'm sure it's harder for people, basically everyone who's taller than me. But it does definitely help keep the spray off of your things in the garage. Like, I'm actually in the garage right now because it's a pretty windy day outside. So it definitely helps to have it, but definite improvement is needed. First coat is done. I think it looks good, and so I think I've earned myself an iced coffee break, and I'll sip on that while this dries. So the second coat has been put on there. I didn't film it. I don't know why, but here we are at the final stages. What I like to do is actually take a brown paper bag and use that as my final sanding, or you can use a 400 grit or higher if you wanted to. It's up to you. I do use the 400 also, but sometimes I just switch it up. So here I'm going to take the Heirloom Traditions all-in-one paint in the color Envy, and I'm going to just paint literally millimeters on the sides of my drawers because my contact paper doesn't quite reach all the way, and the orientation I want to place it in, this is just the best fix that I came up with. In the end, it came out really good, guys, trust me. So sometimes you kind of have to think outside the box in order to, save yourself from having to use so much materials, or if you want it to look a certain way. And so you just got to do it. Now I'm going to put in the contact paper, and I'm going to leave this running in real time just for a bit so that you can see that it is not super easy to put this stuff on. Sometimes I watch videos and I'm like, oh yeah, that is so easy, I'm going to try it, and then it literally takes me like 10 tries to get it on just right. And so here you can see some of that, and I have the added challenge of trying to get it to where it's close enough to that green paint that I put down, where it's even on both sides. So that's an added challenge for me, but it is usually this hard even without the paint on the sides that I'm trying to fit this square into. But the more you do it, the easier it gets for sure. After you've smoothed out your contact paper the way you like it, it's time to trim it down. You'll definitely want a really sharp blade so that you don't have any roughed up edges or anything like that. The sharper the blade, the easier the cut's going to be. And just go ahead and do your drawers all around. Apparently my blade wasn't sharp enough because I had to keep going back in with my tweezers so that I can get some of those frayed edges cleaned up a bit. So definitely gotta take my own advice. Now here's one of the last steps, which is to put the hardware on, one of my favorite steps also. I'm not sure why I didn't film when I drilled the holes onto this drawer, but here we are, and I am running into a little bit of a problem where it's not fitting quite right. So what I'm going to need to do is just drill a little bit more in that hole so that that hardware sits in there just right. I'm going to put some tape around the hole just so that it doesn't fray outward when I drill the hole. It'll keep everything nice and smooth. And then once that's drilled in, I can go ahead and put the hardware on, and it's going to be just perfect. Okay, furniture fixers, it's time to take a look back to where we started with these nightstands. This Thomasville set had really good bones, but also had a lot of dents, a lot of areas that just needed some fixes. So that's what we did, and I think that pairing them up to the dresser that my customer wanted to match it up with worked out really well. Let's take a look. Here's the 9-drawer dresser, and here are the new and improved nightstands. Now, of course, this isn't going to be an exact match to the long dresser, but the color is identical. They look like they're in the family, and sometimes things don't have to be super matchy-matchy for them to work out in the same room. All in all, I'm really happy with the way these turned out, and my customer was so happy. She absolutely loved how everything came together in the room. I want to tell you, furniture fixers, how much I appreciate your support. Thank you for watching, and if you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, heck, tell 5 of your friends, and I'll see you guys on next week's Furniture Fix.